Hi, welcome to a new video of mine. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the situation at Boeing in April 2022. The sponsor of today's video is intuitive.me. Personal development, personal growth, business efficiency improvement. More about this at the end of the video. Like, subscribe, and share. I recorded this video already and I decided no, I will change a few things. I went in depth in details and it was half an hour. And I believe most of you will not be in the mood to listen for half an hour. Also because simply I'm unable to find video footage of Boeing, of modern current Boeing aircraft. It's very difficult to find. Boeing is not making it available like Airbus. If you guys do have sources for videos that can be used legally on YouTube, please send me the links. I would love to use them. Um, but let's dive into Boeing. So the situation at this moment is that the 737 MAX is being produced, delivered, and the 787 deliveries have been halted for a year now. And the 777X is having issues. Certification is being delayed, and that also has a consequence for deliveries, where it's not really clear if Boeing is not doing an effort to get the certification done and start the real production, or if it's really due to the issues and that Boeing can really not accelerate the process. Where Boeing is doing its best to accelerate the process of certification is 737 MAX 10. And the reason Boeing is doing this is because somewhere at the end of December, the end of this year, the law will change, the rules will change. And if Boeing certifies the MAX 10 before that date, it can certify the same way it certified the MAX 7, 8, and 9. After that date, new safety regulations will be in place. And Boeing is doing everything it can and is even asking for permission to certify past that date, not to have to upgrade the aircraft, not to have to improve the safety measurements. So here's my opinion on this. We have had two horrible crashes due to negligence, mismanagement, corruption, deception, greed, manipulation. And there has been no real punishment. Yeah, a few billion fine, not to be prosecuted. Well, they should have been prosecuted. A CEO was fired who was not even really in charge of the company. And the chief test pilot was blamed for everything. But then the courts have freed him from being the only one who made mistakes and the sole responsible for the deaths and the crashes and the whole fiasco. Prosecutors even tried to force a gag order on the chief pilot so that he could not defend himself, so that he could not speak in court about what he did not do, and bring proof to the court to prove his innocence. I'm not saying to prove that he did not do anything wrong, but to prove that he was not the one who by himself caused all the issues. That is showing you that the whole story is stinking. It's still a shit show. And the fact that Boeing is doing its best not to certify the MAX 10 at the new level of safety that will be implemented tells you that the mentality hasn't changed and that Boeing doesn't want to take the opportunity and to say, hey, our MAX 10 will be according to the new standards, will be even safer than the other aircraft, will be safer than the A320 Neo, because that one has been certified before these changes. No, at Boeing, they still try to cut costs. And anyway, the MAX is already a fiasco financially because it was sold based on the promise that simulation time was not required for pilots to make the transition from the next generation 737 to the MAX. And we're already starting to see the consequences of all the mismanagement that has been taking place, and that there is no change at Boeing, no real fundamental change in policy. The consequences are that an airline like KLM, who has been a loyal Boeing customer for the single aisle segment, they started with the 737-300 and the 400, and then they went to the next generation, the 700, the 800, and the 900. And before that, they had the McDonnell Douglas DC-9 and the DC-8. And McDonnell Douglas is Boeing now. So they have been loyal for close to 50 years, if not more. Actually, more than 50 years. And they have decided to pay for the recertification of all their pilots, because they have a big Boeing fleet of 737s, also Transavia, by the way, and to take all those additional costs, which means paying for simulator time and to compensate for the non-availability of the pilots, and to switch to the Airbus A320neo family. They never intended to do this, because just a few years ago they purchased the BB-Jet 700, 737-700 for the government. And that was done so that they would have always pilots available. If they would have had an Airbus fleet, or the intention to have an Airbus fleet, they would have ordered the A319 Neo or CO, but they didn't. They ordered the 737-700. Their goal was to keep flying 737s. So now they're going to make a transition to the Airbus, which means that they will have one aircraft that will be still Boeing. So either they will try to get rid of it and buy an Airbus business jet, or they will need to keep a certain number of pilots certified also on the Boeing 737, which will be difficult and costly. And another proof that Boeing is messing up is that they haven't been delivering 787s for a year now. And it's not like some people were telling me in the comments in my previous video that, yeah, but it's a new aircraft, new technology. No, these are not issues with new technology. Issues with new technology, that can happen. It's not great, but it's acceptable. It's inherent to coming with new technology, developing them, and they need to mature these technologies. We've had the battery issues. Although the battery issues, they could have gone with a different type of batteries, the nickel cadmium batteries, and they would not have had the problem. Would have been cheaper, and they would not have had the safety issues. Also, the paint issues on the wings, which is the same category, I believe, of the issues that Airbus has with the A350, where it's on the whole fuselage that the paint is detaching, or I should say the mesh is detaching from the fuselage, and that's why the paint is also detaching. Those are technological issues. Technology needs to mature here. It's not great. Till now, it has not been considered a safety concern by the major aviation regulators. I honestly do not believe, or I do believe that the fact that the Qatari safety regulators are calling it a safety issue is because it's a political game, it's a financial game, and they just want to support Qatar Airways. And I fully understand that Qatar Airways is mad because they're about excellence. And if you're going to fly Qatar, you expect excellence, perfection, and not an aircraft where the paint is just dropping off. You can expect that from a low cost carrier, maybe, but not when you go into the luxurious aircrafts of Qatar. And so I understand that they're mad. But the issues with the 787, the real issues are with quality. Quality upon delivery. And I'm talking about all the rubbish that's left in the aircraft, in different sections of the aircraft. And some of it can cause fire within the fuel tanks. Others are in the cabin, things that are not well installed, bolts that are not properly screwed, all kinds of crap that has to do with quality, that has to do with management, mismanagement, because they're cutting costs. So the work pressure is high on the employees on the bottom end, those doing the work physically. They're earning peanuts. They don't have unions to protect them because Boeing has been moving its factories around so that there is no possibility for union, and they have been disencouraging union membership. They have been doing everything they could to just cut costs everywhere, cut corners. And this is leading to bad reputation. And Boeing got many hits of reputation in the media. And people have been saying, I do not want to fly Boeing anymore. And certain airlines are sensitive to this. And so what you will see is if airlines have a choice and they have an Airbus product, an Embraer product, and a Boeing product at relatively the same price, they will not go Boeing. They will go either Airbus or Embraer. And this you will start to see, or you're already seeing it, but you will keep seeing it in the coming 10 years. The results of this mismanagement, because it was not just an incident. Even if you take the MAX issue, MCAS issue, we consider it one problem, although it is a combination of problems, but let's say that is one problem. They didn't resolve it. Yes, they fixed MCAS, but they didn't resolve the bad mentality. They didn't resolve the cutting corners. And that is the main problem of Boeing at this moment. And that is what will cost Boeing millions, if not billions, in the coming 10 years. It's already costing Boeing a lot of money now. They can still blame it on COVID, but it's not that. Airlines start to make choices. And if they can afford it, they will switch. Yes, certain airlines cannot afford the switch, so they will stick with Boeing. But if they could, they would switch. Other airlines cannot wait until Airbus can deliver because the backlogs at Airbus are huge on the A320neo family and on the A350 family, not the A330neo. There have been cancellations, like from very recently from Air Asia, who, due to the whole global crisis, had to cut its orders. But Boeing will see the issues, will see for a long time to come the consequence of its mismanagement. And because it hasn't changed anything, it's still moving for, still extending. This period is extending into the future as long as Boeing's not changing anything. And honestly, I don't have the feeling that anything will change in the coming few years, unless there's a real change at Boeing within the management, unless the justice system in the US or in other countries start prosecuting Boeing and prosecuting its management for all the corruption and the deception and the lying and all the things they did, and really start putting these people in prison and even giving them huge fines so that all the bonuses they got for sales, that they have to give them back. Only then real change may occur. Any other company would have gone bankrupt already. Boeing is not bankrupt because it has different divisions: commercial, defense, space. So yeah, especially defense is compensating with all the orders they get from the US government. Yeah, they can survive. But any other company in other industry would already have gone bankrupt with all these issues, having its two main products, the first product not delivering for 2 years, and then after that, its secondary product, so the 787, which is producing less than the 737, not producing for a full year, which is not the first time because they already had several months of halting production before. And it is only because Boeing is still earning enough money from its other divisions that they get away with it, that they seem to get away with it, because I do not see any fundamental slapping in the face from any government institution at this moment. The fines they got, they didn't change anything because the same people are still there. Muhlenberg didn't really have a lot of power. He was just the face of Boeing. But the people who decided to do all this crap, they're still there. And they're still deciding, they're still taking the same kind of decisions. And that is really sad. Because the industry is suffering from this. The industry would benefit from a strong Boeing, a strong Airbus, a strong Embraer, and a strong Chinese manufacturer, and maybe even a strong Russian manufacturer, at least in the single aisle sector, with the A320, the 737, and then the Irkut and I forgot the Chinese one. If all those would be producing good quality aircraft, there would be an abundance of aircraft in the market, there would be better pricing, and yeah, the quality would be high because they would be really competing with each other. And you would say, who's winning? Who will be the biggest winner from all this? Well, Airbus is winning at this moment, but the real winner in the coming 10 years will be China, because the Chinese are catching up technologically. They're getting a lot of technology from Airbus, because if you want to do, if you want to have a company manufacturing in China, you also agree to the Chinese getting the technology. That's the deal. Otherwise, you cannot produce anything in China. So they're getting Airbus technology, and they're replicating it and maybe even improving on it. And so in the coming 10 years, we have seen it in the space division, in the space industry, China has caught up with the West and Russia. China has launched more rockets successfully than the West and Russia combined in the past 2 years. So things don't look well for Boeing. Not short term, but even long term, they may still pay the price. For the coming 10 years, they will be paying the price. And the longer they do not change fundamentally, the longer they will keep paying the price. And regarding the 777X, what I said, the question is, should they continue or should they just simply drop it? Because producing a larger aircraft in the current market, where point to point is where everything is heading to, which also could mean that the Middle Eastern carriers, Emirates and Qatar mainly, but also Etihad, and to a small extent Turkish Airlines, may start to lose customers, may need to downsize, which means there will be no market for a 777-9 or 777-10, just like there is no market for a A350-2000. And when I say there is no market, it means selling 200 is not enough. Just look at the A380. They sold 257, if I'm correct, or 257 were produced. It sold 249. I don't remember, something like that. But they didn't make money on the project. They lost money on the project. Yes, they learned a lot technologically. Great. So let's call it a hefty investment in future technology. But if Emirates realizes that it needs to change its business structure, then it may decide not to buy the 777X, and then the 777X is dead, or Boeing will be losing a lot of money. And also Boeing doesn't seem to have any vision for the future. There is no 797. There is no launch of 797. There is no launch of mid-market aircraft. They're losing to the A321XLR and the LR. They're losing big time. And they said very nicely, yeah, we're going back to the drawing table. We will start again from scratch, blah, blah, blah. This means either they don't know what they want, but most likely they cannot launch a new aircraft at this point. And there are two main reasons why they could not. One reason is financially. They may not have the means, they may not have the funds to invest 5 to 8 billion in a new aircraft, because that is what it costs nowadays. Or they do not know at this point which way they should go. There is a third possibility, but this one is less likely today. This one was the case 3 years ago, which was there was no availability for engines. There was no capacity amongst the engine manufacturers to develop a new engine for an aircraft which would replace the 757-200 and the 767-200. Airbus used the engines of the A321, I mean the A320 also for the A321. But if you would go bigger, you would need bigger engines, and those are not available. And there was no capacity to develop such an engine. I believe that if they would launch today, there is a chance that within 3 years there would be an engine available. But it would be a brand new engine most likely, so that also would not be mature. So they could have the same issue as they had with the 787 or as Airbus had with the A321, with the A320 Neo, with the Pratt& and Whitney engines. So maybe this is still one of the reasons. Maybe it's all three reasons. So yeah, there's not much positive you can say about Boeing commercial aviation at this moment. And it's sad. It's really sad. I used to be a big Boeing fan for most of my life. But I cannot be fan of a company that is knowingly killing people, knowingly producing crap, knowingly cutting corners in every direction. I cannot support that. And I will not support that. I do not support corruptions. I have fought most of my career against corruption. I fired a lot of people. I got a lot of people fired, people who were above me, higher ranks. I got them fired for corruption. I have been fighting corruption most of my life. And it's a family trait. So I cannot support a company that's doing the same. I was also really upset when there were corruption charges against Airbus with the A330 MRTT, the military one. I could say I would understand that they try to force a sale of the aircraft because the 767 was selling better and they really wanted to get into the market. But Boeing had a better product anyway, a more economical product. So I do not see why. I mean, if you have a better product, then you can convince, if you have good salespeople, you can convince your customer to take the better product, not to take the one that you know already for a long time and that is actually really outdated and economically not viable. So that was stupid. And Boeing and Airbus got what it deserved. It got such a huge fine that the whole deal, they lost money on it, and big time, and they deserve that. And any company who's doing this kind of crap deserves to get hit hard, because we need to end this bullshit. Produce a good quality product and you will sell it. It's that simple. Well, this was again half an hour. I don't know how, but I do not manage to put all this in less than half an hour apparently. So I know I promised you a video on the Antonov AN225, what I believe is the real or are the real reasons why it's not there anymore, why it's not flying anymore. But I feel I still need to do some research there to get more facts, because it's a stinky business. It's not a clear-cut story. It's not what Antonov wants you to believe. There's more happening there, and I always say follow the money. And I believe that here is really a question of money, but also a question of honor and deception. So I will dig in deeper into that, and when I'll have the facts or have more facts, I will come with a video. So, the sponsor of today's video, intuitive.me. You might say, hey, intuitive. Yes, you got it. That's my main job. These videos that I'm recording here on aviation, they're just for fun. They're my hobby, they're my passion. And that's what intuitive.me is about. It's about discovering what you really love to do and start doing it. It's about discovering who you are, finding your inner peace, dealing with those triggers, those things that really piss you off when they happen and you lose control over yourself. It's dealing with things that have been there for a long time, like blockages and trauma. It's finding your ideal partner. It's changing things in your life that you have no clue how to change, but you really want them to change. And as I always say, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and a sign of true smartness. Because the real smart people and the real successful people, they have coaches, they have mentors, yes, plural. So click the link in the description and have a look. If you've watched this far, then probably already resonate with me, so maybe it can help you. Click the link in the description. For now, I wish you a good weekend. I hope you're not suffering too much from all the craziness going on in the world, both economically and socially. And hopefully, I'll have some positive news to announce in the near future and make a video on that. Have a good day. Like, subscribe, and share.